Hello, and how are you? My name is Winnie Barawa, and welcome to our session on feminism and woman empowerment. If you're new here, this is a channel that focuses on lectures, lessons, and content relating to healthcare. Remember to subscribe and click on the notification button. Stay with me as we explore more about the concepts that build up or contribute to content on feminism and women empowerment. The first concept that we are going to look at is the word feminism itself. Feminism originated first from Latin word known as femina, which means a woman. And the concept of feminism appreciate that it has some controversial beliefs and many people have had negative notes or negative knowledge around it. But to debunk on this, feminism simply means a movement and a process of advancing women's rights since previously or historically they were being viewed as lower class citizens in comparison to men. So the agenda of feminism came up whereby there was need to examine certain fields and phenomena in regards to the gender relatedness. In this case, looking at the issues around women. And that's why there were issues like feminist theories, the feminist economies that came around to try and check into these various rights of women that were not being considered or looking at these historical injustices that were affecting women. And by doing this, feminism was the key area that gave birth to women empowerment. So it is the beginning of the process that led to women empowerment. So if you're wondering what it was, then feminism simply means woman, or it's simply a concept that is around empowering of women, or it's a movement or a process that advances women's rights. Since historically they were first viewed as lower class citizens in comparison to the counterparts, the other concept and is that is women empowerment. So the word women empowerment sometimes is also known as female empowerment, and the concept of women empowerment is simply a process that looks into fostering a woman's sense of self worth. It's looking into decision making power, access to opportunities and resources, her woman power and control over her own life, both inside and outside the home, and her ability to affect change. So, women empowerment, to just recap from the word of feminism, is that this was the end goal that feminism was looking for. By first exploring the areas of injustice that were being done to women in regards to their rights as women, in regards to access to opportunities, and many other parts that surround the rights of women. And for this case, women empowerment, which is also known as female empowerment, was looking into these areas by fostering the sense of women's sense worth, looking into decision making powers of women, looking into access to opportunities, resources, the power and control over their lives, and the ability to affect change, not only in themselves, but also in the society. So let's expound these areas that women empowerment is focusing on and how these things were being affected among women. So women empowerment has five main components that is looking into. And the first one was to promote the woman's sense of worth. We need to know that historically women were actually viewed as less citizens or less humans. And at the moment, husbands had the right to sell their women to other members of the society if they wished so. We need to also remember at some time men had the power to make decisions to get to women without consulting them, and women empowerment was looking into this to restore the sense of self worth in women. The second concept was to revive the right to have and determine choices. Remember, the choices women made were both culturally determined, but in some moment it wasn't their own instigated choices, but they were community decided choices. And for this, women empowerment needed to give that power back to women so that they could make their own choices. Call it bodily choices, bodily autonomy, the right to join different associations, to own properties and so on. There's also right to access opportunities and resources. For example, the biggest rights was mostly infected in the areas of job opportunities and creations, education, access to health rights, and all that. So, to have a right to access these opportunities, the women empowerment instigated by feminism was to help women achieve that right. And the other part was now the right to power to control their own lives, both within and outside their home. We need to know that women at first were known to just have the nurturing and recreation right, whereby your main role were defined within the homestead and the outside environment was, or the public environment was actually put aside just for men only. And so women were not supposed to be seen outside. Like in France, it was being said that women actually at some moment were supposed to cover their heads while they are in public. But you see, coming to the aspect of self-worth and making choices, women were supposed to at least be given the power to control their own lives without waiting for the decisions of men. And all these were areas that needed to be checked on. And the last part was to allow women to influence direction in terms of social change. We have to appreciate and understand that despite that moment where men were the main decision makers, even when it came to women's lives, women did not have a right to influence societal change. For example, they could not participate in making laws. They could not participate in in electing leaders. And these were changes that were important that women needed to be given a chance to participate. Another term and concept, what we call womanism. So this was a movement also that is seen to be part of the feminism, but it was championed specifically by black feminists. It's said to have originally, or it has originated first in the among the black Americans or the black American women, and this was being seen, or it was a concept that was being used to elevate the power of the black women and to acknowledge them as part and equal members of the community at that particular time, because the oppression at that time seemed to be more worse or severe to the black woman as compared to the white woman. And for this case, this word was coined, the womanism, for the purpose of mostly protecting the black immigrants who are fighting for women's rights at that time. So this was looking at an issues and perspective that were particularly facing the black women and other women, though, that were also suffering from the effects of lack of empowerment in women. So it was applied as a social theory based on the history and the everyday experiences among the black women. And that from the origin that it came from America, it started to spread across other black women who were also looking into the empowerment of women at that time. And lastly, the other concept is on intersectionality, which is a word that appreciates the different factors that contributes to the aspect of empowerment of women. And in this aspect, it's looking at how individual factors can combined together can either give someone the aspect of discrimination or privilege. So it was weighing on the different factors and identities that contribute to either uniquely getting discriminated or privileged. And intersectionality brings together factors such as gender, caste, sex, races, ethnicity, class, sexuality, body appearances, and all this. So it is being said that part of the reasons that women were getting affected and having all these problems around them was partly contributed by this. And now, to have the completeness of a woman and to achieve fully woman empowerment or feminism, there was need to interrelate the different factors that contribute to the discrimination or privilege among the women. And so the intersectionality or the intersectional feminism was acknowledging the different suffering and experiences or identities of women in society and using that to elevate the status of women in our society. And so if this is the type of content that you like, kindly remember to comment, suggest areas that you will wish us to look into. Click on the subscribe button and the notification button so that you can be notified when we post a new lessons. Until we meet again, bye bye, and my name is Winnie Barawa. Thank you.